Morning again, everyone, and a big welcome to Christina, who's just joined us as an elite navigator, and Wendy, who's just joined us as a market explorer. So, welcome to the community. With that, what we have to get through today, I will be looking at Bitcoin as it retraces slightly off that 90,000 level. Is it going to come back down or is it going to bounce off a level? I'll look into that. The dollar index is at that 106 level, expecting potentially further upside. We'll look into that on this session. And also with the CPI, the US CPI to be released later tonight. The markets have been pretty consolidative. I think that everyone's waiting to see what the CPI is going to be before we see more volatility come back into the market again. So a lot to come, a lot to talk about, potentially a lot of trade setups to look at, all that. But first, okay. So let me see. You're most welcome there. Good morning, Christina. Hey, Sunil. Hey, Noachuku. Hope you're all doing well. Now, if you can see me okay, hear me all right, I'm pretty sure everything's working fine. Put it into the chat. If you're on the session, whether you're regular or your first time joining us, put it into the chat. Say hi. Let me know where you're joining us from. Um, if you're new to the session, just a big note, and for all the regulars as well, for everyone. We are on Wednesday, 13th of November, Thursday, Friday. We've got this and two more sessions on this live stream, and then after that, it's going to be only available to elite navigators. I guess that's one of the reasons why Christina has joined us as an elite navigator. So if you want to continue enjoying this live stream on a daily basis, the link is there for you to join the elite navigator. Okay. But in the meantime, you can still enjoy this. Please remember, help me click that like and subscribe button. And if you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put it into the chat and let me know. Now, with that, good morning, Brian. How are you doing? Hey, Ted. Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. Okay. Now, let's look at the news. Let's look at what has happened since the last time we spoke. Right, in terms of fundamentals from overnight, not much, right? Markets have continued to trend, so not much happened. But this morning, it was a bit too early for me. At 8:30 a.m., we had the Aussie wage price index quarter on quarter. It was a 0.8%. It was expected to rise slightly to a 0.9%, but it stayed at a 0.8%. Didn't do too much because you can see here on the Aussie dollar, it came down to this level that we saw on the 6th of November. So overnight, it came down to this point at 8 a.m. Right there, it just pushed down slightly but came back up again. So it didn't do too much in terms of an impact from the wage price index news. All right. Then nothing much else for the rest of the day. Markets have, if you look at this, look at here, right? The euro dollar right up the top here. Last 6 hours, 0 pips. It's just set right across. Pound dollar, last 6 hours, pip change, 3 or 4 now. All right. The US yen, 11. I'm not going to look at euro power. CAD, 6. The Aussie dollar, 5. The Kiwi dollar, 6. Only the pound yen has got into, or only the yen pairs have got into the double digits, barely. So it hasn't been, prices haven't been moving that much. I do think that a lot of or the market is probably waiting to see what the print is going to be for tonight's CPI year on year for the US. It is currently at 2.4%. It's expected to be released at a 2.6%, a small increase in inflation growth for the US. While CPI month on month is expected to stay at 0.2%, while core CPI, again, remember that core CPI excludes food and energy. Core CPI is likely to stay at a 0.3% as well. So ultimately, month to month, core CPI and CPI expected with no change at 0.3 and 0.2% respectively, while CPI year on year expected to increase slightly from a 2.4 to a 2.6. What does this mean for the dollar, for the US dollar? I don't think, like I was saying yesterday, the CME Fed Watch 2 is 35 days to the next meeting, right? The CME Fed Watch 2 is still finding a level 37.9% chance that the Feds could keep rates on hold, with a 62.1% chance of another 25 basis point rate cut. I don't think this CPI data is going to play too much into changing these percentages unless we see a massive change. From a 2.4 to 2.6, I don't think it's going to do too much. But if we see a 2.8, if we see a 3, then the alarm bells are going to start ringing. I think the chances of that is quite low. I think it's probably a 2.5 even, or 2.5, 2.6, which could see the dollar pause on the rise because the dollar index has been pushing up, right? It might pause along this 106 level and then push up, pretty much as what I've drawn from yesterday. So that's what I'm thinking on the CPI number for tonight. Okay. Good morning, Edson. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Now, with that, then tomorrow at 7 a.m., we have Governor Bullock speaking, and the Aussie employment numbers to be released. Unemployment rate for the Aussies 4.1 to 4.1, no change expected there, while employment change is likely to go from a 64.1 to a 25.2. Slowdown in employment change numbers there. So maybe we might see some weakness come back into play on the Aussie tomorrow morning, well, tonight and through to tomorrow morning, right? And then I'll tell you more about the PPI and this event here, the panel discussion here during tomorrow's session, okay? And then we have GDP for the UK to be released on Friday at 3 p.m. together with retail sales number for the US. Retail sales number is going to be interesting coming soon because it's the end of the year for the US. We usually see a bit of a bump on the retail sales numbers. So any questions so far, put it into the chat and let me know about the CPI, about where, any particular questions, put into chat and let me know. If not, then we'll look into the charts. Again, you see on the left side that little column there telling you about the Elite Navigator. It's only $9 per month, so make sure you join that. You get all the live streams, you get educational videos that I'm doing up right now, access to the TSRI MACD. You get trade of the week, which I'm going, when the trade of the week comes around, I'll highlight that out to you guys. You get, what else? Market analysis, trade of the week. If I launch any other things, you get 50% off on that. You get educational strategy videos. It's all there, right? So make sure you join Elite Navigator. Again, the link is, or has been there, and it's there for you guys. Now, on to the dollar index. Dollar index. Zoom in a little bit. There we go. All right. We were here. We were right here yesterday. Like I said, it was going to consolidate, possibly retrace. It didn't retrace, but it consolidated and pushed up all the way to that 10610 level. Went as high as 106, almost 10620 before retracing, and then now looking like it's trying to push up further. So if I move that right across and I move that a little bit lower, that's pretty much moving as we had expected. Take that away and take that away. Drag this up. All right, so you see that what you should see is I don't need that anymore. And while this is useful, I will keep that there. Okay, we'll keep that there. Now looking at this, upwards, that's holding, that's fine. Okay. So here we are. Today being the 13th of November. Naturally, we're looking at the dollar to push up higher. I'm thinking what could happen here, right? So why I'm pausing is I'm just thinking what could happen. I'm looking on H4. The last time we got up to this, let me see, 10650 level, right? The last time we got up to 10650 was in April. May of this year, and since then it's been below that level. Beyond that, the next big high point is 107.25. Now I'm looking at that. Okay. Zoom in a little bit on this area here. 106.50 is up there. Put a dotted line up there. Okay, here we go. Back to the H1, back to the current. So what we should be seeing here is that the dollar index should be trading higher. It should be getting up to, or it could be getting up to the 106.50 level. Okay, dollar index continue higher to 106.50 resistance. I feel like it could consolidate there for a while before pushing up. So it could consolidate before pushing, well, could consolidate beyond 106.50, could trade up to 106.90. Okay, so what I'm thinking here is, and it's already moving now, is that it would push up to hang on a second. It push up to 106.50. It could bounce around here before pushing back up to 106.90. We were just right here and it's pushed up. Yeah, so I think that's fair. That's what I'm looking at. Still overall looking at further strength on the dollar to the upside. Okay, now with that, then we'll look at the Kiwi dollar. Kiwi dollar did very well yesterday. I did get onto this trade, so that was a good 40 pips to the downside. I got in a bit early on that, so it sat there, it bounced back up before it continued lower again. Took a little bit longer than expected, but once it retraced, move this aside. Right, once it retraced and then it showed that downward push, I just went, okay, I'll just leave it and let it go, thinking that it would come down to this point. So it did well. It pushed right down 40 pips to the downside. Let me know if you got into that trade as well on the Kiwi dollar. Okay. Now with this, as the Kiwi looks like it's going to push back down. You see the TSRI MACD slowly trying to cross back down. What I'll be looking out for here would be that it breaks that low, right? And what we anticipate here is see that when it broke the low here, when it broke this low, it came down, it pushed back up before coming back down again. So I feel like it's done that zigzag already. I think that what you could be looking out for here would be it goes to 5905. Stop loss would be about 15, 20 pips at the very most. Take profit would be down to the next support at 45. Okay, so 5905. Yesterday was 5950. So today is 5905. Yes. Stop loss 20. Take profit 45 to the downside. That is relatively straightforward. Just a little bit of waiting to do now as it breaks that previous low. Then onto the Aussie dollar. We talked about this. Well, we talked quite a bit about this on the Aussie where it was going to come down, right? Down, bounce. It did that before pushing back down again. So it didn't do that, but it came down, it bounced in this area, and now it's pushing back down again. I wanted to break that previous low, so I'm still going to stick to what we were looking out for yesterday, where I would say 6.5, 25 to 100 to the downside. I would say that maybe 6440. You might even be looking at 60 that way first. Right? So I would say that, but I would say that maybe you see a bit of a hesitation there. So Aussie dollars sell 0.65, 25 to 100, but possible hesitation at 0.6440. 6440? Yes? Yes. Okay. Makes sense so far? Put it into the chat. Let me know. Okay. And it's moving, but it's moving slowly. So you gotta have patience. You gotta wait for that to come around and play out. Then on to the pound dollar, right? It's relatively straightforward nowadays, especially when we see the dollar gaining that strength, pushing to the upside. Then it's right across, almost right across the board. We're looking for that dollar strength, and to trade with that dollar strength. So pound dollar pushed to the downside. That's done. It didn't bounce up before. This was where we were, right? So it came down, bounced up slightly. I wouldn't say it bounced up before coming back down again. That would have, right? If you had that, I didn't get into this one, but if you had that, that would have been a good 50 pips, 55 pips to the downside. Now take all of that away. At this point, right? At this point, what I'm looking out for on a pound dollar would be that it closes below this level, It's not outside the Bollinger Band. So I would say that this might be a small trade, small-ish trade, or what you'll be looking for here on a pound dollar will be a continuation to the downside. You'll be looking at 1.2715. Stop loss, no more than 25. Take profit, you could go down this way to about 90 pips with a hesitation at 1.2680. Okay, a lot of numbers there. Let me just repeat. Pound dollar, we're looking to sell at 1.2715. 1.271. Oops, what am I doing? 1.2715. Stop loss would be about 25. Take profit, you say it's 90, with a possible hesitation at 1.2677, 1.2680. At 1.2680. There we go. The chat is oddly quiet for today. So if you guys are on, you guys are, is making sense to you, do put it into the chat and let me know. Oddly quiet. Now, that's the pound dollar. Yes, I'm happy with that. Then onto the euro dollar, it's just sitting there, right? This was the same thing we talked about yesterday. It didn't drop to bounce. It came down slightly and bounced from here. So we're looking for it to break and then trade lower. Okay, I'll take all that away. Basically, we're still looking for this same move on the dollar strength. And the main thing is that why it's sitting there is because this is a very, this is a good, strong support level that's holding so far. So it would take a little bit more momentum to push and break that support level to the downside. And you gotta have patience with this. So 1.0590, yes, I'll still have that. 1.0590, stop loss 40, take profit 140 to the downside. I'll keep that view. I'll keep that view. Okay? Yeah. I wouldn't be ready to buy this back up if we see that crossover. So I'm still looking for that push to the downside. Right. Now, with that, then I'm just thinking. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, then with that, the next thing to look at is the yen pairs. Dollar yen. Looked at that pushing up, retracing, so it's done that, and then pushing up to the upside. I have that trade running. It's a small profit right now, to the upside. I'm looking at that. Might come back down, but I'm still looking for the upward push because of the dollar to the upside, right? The potential move to the upside on the dollar. So same thing, if you haven't got into this already, that's still valid, yes. This point here is what was holding it back a little bit. Okay. So what could happen here is that it will bounce around. I'll take that away first. What could happen here is that it will bounce around in this level before we might do that, and then push to the upside. So if you haven't got into this trade already, then what you might want to look at on the dollar strength scenario as usual will be 155.30. Stop loss, I would say about 40 pips. You take profit, I'll go up to that round number level of 156, or can even go up to a good, let me see, I was going to say 80. I think that's reasonable. I want to put this a little bit narrower, but I feel like it should be 40. I would say that you might even go for one, yeah, do that. Right, so 155.30. So on the yen, on the US yen, we'll be looking at 155.30. Stop loss 40. I wouldn't do anything nearer, and take profit 70 to the upside. Oh wait, what am I doing? 40. Take profit 70 to the upside. Okay, let's take all that away first. I'll change that later on. Okay, that's good. That's fair. I'll wait for that. Then again, remember euro dollar pulling it down. Euro yen went up to this point. This is why, right? We're talking about it. It could go up, but I only look to buy it up on the upside, or if it breaks, because what I'm thinking is that it's going to, like I said yesterday, it's going to sit in this range. It's going to sit. You can trade in this range. I prefer not to, but it looks like it's going to do that and bounce around. Then we're looking for a break either to the upside or the downside, right? But for now, it looks like the euro yen is going to range between 163.55 and 164.55. 100 pip range could be tradable. I feel like I like something more directional rather than trying to catch that range. Okay. Then onto the pound yen, same thing. It's been sitting in that range. There is the downside potential because it looks like the pound dollar could come down. Not definitely, could come down. So that could pull the pound yen down. What I'm possibly thinking here is for it to push down, test that support, and push back up. So nothing yet, but looking for reaction at this 196 level. Make sense so far? All right. Then, wow. Okay. I'm down to my last 3, and we've done it in 30 minutes. So this is almost record time. It's been relatively straightforward, hasn't it? It's just been dollar strength, trade with the trend on the dollar strength scenario. Same thing here on the US Swiss franc. It hasn't broken up yet, but same thing, you're looking at 8845, 30 to 75 to the upside. 8845, 30 to 75 to the upside on the US Swiss franc with the anticipation that the dollar strength is going to continue to the upside. Right? Main thing first is that it needs to break above this level. It needs to break above this level before we see it push up, possibly up to that 106.50. If it breaks 106.50, we could see 106.90. It all comes down to what we could, it all seems to be sitting right across, but we're going to see what happens here. Okay. I'm just seeing one of my trades flashing green to take profit. Okay. Then with the US CAD, the loonie, same thing, sitting in that it was bounced around. Right, yesterday we were right here. It's gone up a little bit. It came down to that resistance now, turned support level. In this range, wouldn't do anything. I've given it a bit of a bigger buffer if it breaks out because I don't want it to do that and come back in again, right? So I would say that, yeah, it's going to stay in this range only if it breaks out strongly due to big dollar strength. Then we're going to see that upside on the US CAD. I don't think it's going to move that much. Let me revise this. Let me see. Where are we? Okay. Naren for sure. Pound Swiss franc, we can do that. Okay. There is a little bit of a level here. Then we go back to the H1. Naren's always pitting me against the BOFA. Okay, so what you could also be looking at, there is that 55 pip move to the upside here. I think that'd be a more reasonable level. So what I'll be looking for in this case would be on the US CAD 1.4, 40 to 55. 1.4, 40 to 55 to the upside. Okay, and then with that, on to gold, 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 gold. I don't like to say that. I hate saying that line. This level, all right? We were talking about this yesterday. We said breaking, hasn't broken yet, breaking 2600. Only below 2585, we could trade down to 2570 or 2550. What did it do? It tried to break 2600. It stayed within this range, barely got out of 2590. Well, barely got out of 2590 before pushing back up again. So that 61.8 level holding strong, right? Let me zoom out and show you that. 61.8 holding strong. The trend line holding strong as well. Does this mean that gold is going to retrace and reclaim a new high? I don't think so. I think that it's just a pause. It's a collection and a thought before it pushes back down again. Okay, so same thing here. So I added in the two fib levels, just highlighting the 23.6 here, and for the shorter term, the 23.6 at this level here. Highlight that. All right, so I would say that gold firstly needs to stay below 2620. Quite a bit away, it's 2605 now, but it needs to stay below 2620. I'll keep that one there. That's now my support. All right, so it's consolidating at this point, needs to break. So we'll be looking at it below 2590. So consolidating along 2605. Gold is consolidating along 2605. Needs to break 2590 for further downside to 2570. needs to stay below 26.20. There we go. All right, needs to stay below 26.20. Yes, needs to break below 25.90. Yes, consolidating at that point. I would say I would still keep that point there at 25.70. I don't think it would drop straight down to 25.50. I wouldn't rule out a bounce, a good strong bounce from here, but first it would need to clear 26.20. Still looking for that trending scenario to the downside. Okay, see, even if a bounce, it could, so this was in this scenario here, you see that it bounced right back up just below that 50 before pushing right back down again. So that's what we're looking out for on gold. Now with all that, then like Naren has been asking on the pound Swiss franc. There we go. Pound Swiss franc. I think this is something we looked at on Monday where I said look for it to break that trend line to the downside. It's working out quite nicely. POFA recommending long. I chuckle because what I'm thinking is that if it can break below that 1.1230 level, we're going to see further downside. I don't see why you would be looking to buy it up. Pound dollar looks like it could be losing ground. If pound dollar loses ground, then the pound Swiss franc should be pushing down. If the US Swiss franc pushes up or sits there or pushes up, then that might bring about a little bit of a push or consolidation, but I feel like with the way it's broken, and if you look at this, hey Robbie, how are you doing? Right, that's the 50% level as well. So it came down, it's tested 50 around the area, looking like it's going to push back down. So what I would be looking for in this case would be 1.1220, tight stop loss, 20 pips, take profit, you come down to 50. You could go down all the way to like 90 by your first level here at 50. So that's what I'll be looking out for on the pound Sweezy. Yeah. All right. So very quiet chat today, but I see a lot of you on the session. So again, if you're on the session, remember to click like and subscribe. If you haven't already, make sure you join the Elite Navigator, because after Thursday and Friday, this live stream that you like so much is going private. It's only going to be available to Elite Navigators. With all that said, please trade well, trade safe. I'll see you on Discord. If not, then I'll see you tomorrow on the live stream. And like Robbie said, get your blue stars. Good job, Robbie. Thanks for that. And good morning, Rita. I'm done, so you can catch the replay. With that said, take care. Catch you again.